Elephant Man Podcast Network, grown man conversation dealing with elephants in the room. It's your man DB. Like, subscribe, hit the notification so you can know when new material is coming out. IG, Elephant Man _podcast, Facebook / Elephant Man Podcast. To subscribe on X, hit / Poster Boys, or YouTube. You can hit the Paleo Hebrew in the bottom right corner and subscribe. Make sure your notifications is on. Make sure you subscribe because for some reason, sometimes stuff get unsubscribed. Also, TikTok at ElephantMan219. And don't forget Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Hebrew Connect TV, and Hebrew Sphere. Blessings, shalom, blessings. This is the day that Yahuwah has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And I just wanted to start off by saying I am grateful and thankful. You got to have an attitude of gratitude in these end times. You got to have an attitude of gratitude in these end times because there's a lot going on, but the Most High will sustain us and keep us. Also, shout out to those who are inspired. You know, you never know who's watching or who's tuning in, who's listening, who's inspired to do their own podcast, to do their own show. I inspire you today. I challenge you today. You have something that's of value and purpose, and that will bless. You are blessed to be a blessing. Rather, even if it's a painful situation, dark time in your life, or whether it's a joyous testimonial occasion, you have something that will bless others. So I encourage you to start something, even if it's a 15-minute something. If you're a writer, do a blog. So I encourage you to start something. And the blessed to be a blessing. Reciprocity is good. You never know who you will influence. I hear from tons of people who I've influenced that I didn't know that I was influencing, right? So blessings and to you guys as well. Keep going. Keep going. That's one thing I want to say is keep going. You know, one thing I was writing down, we're going to have some different things coming up soon, but in order to pursue anything, whether it's the things of Yah, whether it's the mission, whether it's business, whatever, you got to have motivation. You got to be motivated to start. You know, some people don't want to start or can't start or stifled from starting because they imposter syndrome, which means that they don't feel like they're an expert or they're good enough or understand enough or have enough knowledge to be in that space, right? Some people got, or some people got the perfection. They want to, having everything perfect, but you don't want to go out there and look crazy. But guess what? It's not going to be crystal clear. It's not going to be the greatest out bat. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to learn. L's is not losses. L's is learning. So you have to just get started. But in order to get started, you need that spark, right? You need that motivation to get you started. You need to be inspired. You need to get that motivation to get you started. And then you have to believe. That's another reason to help you get started. If you don't believe, you won't do, right? If we don't believe in the finished work of Yahusha, we won't follow. We won't. Whatever we have to believe. So you have to be motivated and inspired. You have to believe. But here's the kicker right here. Consistent discipline. You have to be consistent and disciplined and show up for you every single day. Consistent discipline, showing up for you every single day. Because some days you ain't gonna feel like it. Some days you're gonna feel like you're the only one in the room. That's okay. Keep going. Have a purpose, have a goal, have a vision. Remember your why. So when the days come where you be like, I don't really get it, you keep going. You keep going. And then after a while, it will gain traction and momentum. You know, a lot of times we get momentum starts and momentum stops. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. I just had to give that out real quick. 1, motivation. Start. 2, believe. You have to believe. And then 3, consistent discipline. Consistency is key, right? You got to show up for you. We show up for our jobs. We show up for everything else. to show up for our family and friends. You have to show up for you. And that's not selfish, but you have to, right? So I'm gonna open up a prayer, and we're gonna get into this resurrection um, mystery of the resurrection, part 3. Abba Yah, in the name of Yahushua, we thank you for your grace and your mercy. You said, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. We lift you up, we honor you, we adore you, we worship you. There's none like you in the heavens or the earth. And we thank you. You say any two or more that's gathered in your name, that you will be in the midst. It's me and the listener that's listening. And we are in agreement. We asking for a Rhema word, a right now word, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. We pray, amen. So if you've been following, we've been having the power of the mystery of the resurrection. And a lot of people didn't understand the mystery of the resurrection, because even when Yahushua was telling his disciples, the temple must be destroyed in 3 days and then raised again, they couldn't understand that. They was thinking about 3 literal days of building a literal temple. And they know it takes years to set those stones and lay a temple. So they was like, we don't understand that. But they didn't know that he was talking about himself, his body being laid to rest and die, but then resurrected on the 3rd day. And our bodies is the temple, right? We know our bodies is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh. And so they didn't understand that. They also didn't know that he was the resurrection. Even it's a mystery, even to the fallen angels, because it says in Corinthians, if they had known the plan, right, they wouldn't have crucified him, right? You had the imps, the devils, they had the Pharisees and the Sadducees. They was doing different things. And then he said, Yahushua looked out with compassion, because it was like there were sheep led to the slaughter. There was like sheep without a shepherd, right? Without a good shepherd. He said, a good shepherd laid down his life for his sheep, but a hireling, he does not, right? He's only in it for filthy lucre and what he can gain and to use the sheep. But a good shepherd laid down his life for the sheep. So they didn't understand that he was the resurrection. And then he also said in John, I think it's John 10, no man take my life, I lay it down. Right? No man take my life, I lay it down. And then it's not an ironic coincidence that he died on the Passover, because he had to be the Passover lamb, right? To take away the sins. We talked about every year the high priest will go and they will make atonement for themselves and for the nation of Israel. They will make atonement for themselves and for the nation of Israel every year. And so they would cover the sins with a lamb every year, right? There was a substitute. There was a foreshadow of things to come until Yahushua HaMashiach got there. But when he got there, John, his cousin, was like, behold, the Lamb of Yah who takes away the sins of the world once and for all. So that's why when he was crucified, it said the veil, if you read the scripture, it said the veil rent in two, from the top to the bottom, the Holy of Holies. There was an outer court, inner court, Holy of Holies. The only person that can go into the Holy of Holies was the high priest. And Yahushua HaMashiach is not only the sacrificial lamb and the scapegoat, he is the high priest. He is the king after the order of Melchizedek. He is the menorah, the light. He said, I'll be a light to your feet and a lamp unto your path. He is the bread of life as well. So he's all these different things that was done in the so-called Old Testament was pointing towards the finished work of Yahushua HaMashiach. All right. So let's go into Lazarus real quick. Let's go into this reading of the story of Lazarus. All right, the death and resurrection of Lazarus. They didn't know, the disciples and the followers of the way, the followers of Yahushua HaMashiach, didn't know the different things, the different multifacetedness of Yahushua HaMashiach, who he was. They was learning it in real time. They was learning who he was in real time. what he can do, right? That's why they was like, man, he can forgive sins. Man, people will be lame and sick. And he will heal the sick, raise the dead, cast out devils. The devils will listen to him because he had all power, all authority, and they will be tripping. Even the wind and the sea obey him. He's walking on water. He's doing all these different things. So they are learning who he is in real time. They're learning who the Mashiach is in real time. So the death and resurrection of Lazarus. A certain man was sick named Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary, the sister of Martha. It was Mary which anointed the Most High with the ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore his sister sent unto him, saying, Most High, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. And when Yahusha heard that, he said, This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of Yah, that the Son of Yah might be glorified thereby. Right? So this is a demonstration, right? This is a demonstration of who he is and his power, because he know who he is, right? He don't have to justify himself. That's why when he said he was the sheep led to the slaughter, he didn't say a mumbling word. He didn't have to justify himself. Even when he was dying on the stake, dying on the tree, there was like, if you, who you say you are, come down, save yourself. But he wasn't coming to save himself. He come to lay down his life. He died so we can live. Verse 5. Then Yahusha loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. And when he heard, therefore, that he was sick, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. So he wasn't caught off guard with urgency, like, man, I got to hurry up and get there, because he was sick. And after that, said he to the disciples, Let us go into Judea again. And the disciples said unto him, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone thee, and goest thou thither again? So he's putting himself in harm's way, right? They was threatening to hurt him and or kill him. But he had to go through that path. He had to go to that city in order to get to where Lazarus was at. And Yahusha answered, Are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of the world. But if a man walk in night, he stumbleth, because there is no light in him. These things he said, and after he said them, Our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go that I may awake him out of sleep. Then said his disciples, Most High, if he sleep, shall he do well? Howbeit Yahusha spake of his death, but they thought that he spoke of taking a rest in sleep. Then said Yahusha unto them plainly, Lazarus is dead. Like, he's not sleeping, right? But he's really literally dead. And I am glad for your sake that I was not there. That sounds kind of mean, right? I am glad for your sake that I was not there, to the intent that ye may believe. Nevertheless, let us go unto him, right? Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, unto the fellow disciples, Let us also go, that we may die with him. Then when Yahusha came, he found that he had laid in the grave 4 days already. And that was significant, that he laid in the grave 4 days already, because in Hebrew tradition, they believe that once the body dies, the spirit hovers over the body for 3 days, right? So basically, Yahushua HaMashiach didn't want no help. You don't want to. Well, the spirit of Lazarus went back into his body because the spirit was already still present and hovering over his body. No, he said he laid in the grave for 4 days for a reason. Now Bethany was night in Jerusalem, 15 furlongs off. And many of the Jews came to Mary and Martha to comfort them concerning their brother. Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Yahusha was coming, went to him, but Mary sat still in the house. Then said Martha unto Yahusha, Most High, if thou had been here, my brother would have not died. In other words, once you got the word that my brother died, you should have stopped and dropped everything and came to my aid. One thing I want to say about Yahushua HaMashiach, he's not bound by time. We always talk about Kairos, and chronos. And chronos is a Greek word, like where we get the word chronological time. We are in a cylinder called time, right? But he is in it, but not of it. So he's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. So he's in the kairos. So he's the time outside of time. So he's not really bound by space and time like we are. Um, but he submitted himself to it when he wrapped himself in flesh and came in the chronos. But anyway, so he's not bound by it. 4 days. He could have left Lazarus there for 10 days. He's not bound by that. But it's for the sake of him revealing to his fellow followers of the way and everybody in Judea who he was. This is the demonstration. Yahushua said unto her, thy brother shall rise again. So they thinking he's saying some hopeful words. Like, oh man, my brother gonna rise again. Mary said unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Yahushua said unto her, I am the resurrection and life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, shall live again. So he basically said, I am the resurrection and life. I'm not bound by time. I'm not bound by space. I'm in this space, but I'm not bound by this space. I'm not bound by these elements. I'm not bound by any of this stuff. But for the sake of not tripping you out, I walk and talk and function in this terra firma, in the five senses, in the flesh realm, right? So he said, I am the resurrection. So basically, that's amazing too. You have different dead situations in your life. The Most High Yah is willing and able and ready to resurrect those things to new life. He is ready to resurrect those things, right? He can, but we got to believe, right? We got to believe. He said, when I come back, will I find faith? Will I find faith in me? Will I find faith in my promises? Will I find faith in my finished work? That's why the enemy in John 10:10, he come to steal, kill, and destroy, right? Put to death. Yahushua said, I come that you may have life and that more abundantly. So he's showing the aspect of himself in the resurrection, the mystery of the resurrection, right? Whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? She said to him, Yea, Lord, yea, Most High, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of Yah, which come into the world. And when she had said so, she went her way and called Mary, her sister, secretly, saying, the Master is come and calleth for thee. And as soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came unto him. Now Yahushua was not yet come into the town, but was in the place where Martha met him. The Jews then, which were in her house, which were with her in her house, and comfort her, when they saw Mary, they rose up hastily and went out, follow her, saying, she goeth into the grave to weep there. Then when Mary was come where Yahushua was, and saw him, she fell at his feet, saying unto him, Most High, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. When Yahushua wherefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping, which came with her, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled, and said, where have you laid him? They said unto him, Most High, come and see. And Yahushua wept. He didn't weep because Lazarus was dead. Because remember, he was saying, I am the resurrection. No, if you believe in me, you shall never die. He was weeping because of the lack of faith and belief. Then said the Jews, behold, how he loved him. Oh, excuse me. So they think he weeping because Lazarus is dead, but he weeping because of the lack of faith. And then some of them said, could not this man which opened eyes of the blind have caused even this man should he have died? Yahushua therefore again groaning in himself, coming to the grave. It was a cave, and a stone laid upon it. Yahushua said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, said unto him, Most High, by this time he's stinking, for he been dead for 4 days. Basically, like that spirit is not hovering no more. It's gone. It's in the bosom of Abraham. It's no longer there, hovering over the body. Yahusha said to her, said I not unto thee that if thou wouldest believe, that thou shouldst see the glory of the Most High Yah. Telling you today, if you would just believe, you will see the glory of the Most High Yah. We have this situation that we're in. You're in a situation that it just seems hopeless and helpless. But the mystery of the resurrection is He will resurrect it to new life, right? If you would just believe, I'm talking to you, my listener. If you would just believe, He will resurrect it into new life. Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid, so there was more than Lazarus in there. And Yahusha lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hear me. And I know that thou hearest me always. But because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. And when thus he spoke, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. Now, this is important because if he'd have just said, come forth, he is the resurrection, so everybody in the grave would have came out. So he was talking specifically to Lazarus because that's who they was mourning. That's who they was there for. Lazarus, come forth. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was about with the napkin. Yahusha said unto him, loose him and let him go. And many of the Jews which came to Mary and seen these things which Yahusha did, believed on him. And but some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them the things he had done. So he did this in front of everybody. He did this in front of everybody. And then after all that, he said he's the resurrection. He came on the fourth day, healed Lazarus, raised him from the dead, and they still conspired to kill him. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees, a council, said, what are we to do with this man of many miracles? If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. So they was interested in their prominence. They were interested in their position. They were interested in building their kingdom. That's why I say there's a difference between thy kingdom come, thy will be done, and my kingdom come, my will be done. A lot of focus on that my kingdom come, my will be done. People trying to build their own individual kingdoms around here. And if we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nations. And one of them named Caiaphas, being a high priest, the same year said to him, if you know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people and the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being the high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahusha should die for that nation. Amen. So that's crazy. They was like, yo, we're going to destroy and kill the resurrection. That don't make sense. He said he was a resurrection. You've seen his power, love, and demonstration. Yet you still want to kill him. And you got a motive to kill him, right? But he's the good shepherd. He is the good shepherd, right? And to say that in John 10, he is the good shepherd. No man take my life, I lay it down. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So they want to go back to business as usual. They want to go back to killing and, well, not killing, but oppressing and suppressing the truth and being the HNIC head Negro in charge and running around there with phylacteries and got all of the robes and the garbs on, and they're walking around here looking real deep and real spiritual and got the highest titles, but living the lowest life, right? The highest title, but living the lowest life. So they didn't want to stop what they had. And even the people that is building, well, I ain't gonna get into that. I ain't gonna get into that because we're gonna keep it on this train. We're gonna keep it on this track. But I said all that to say he is the resurrection. The people didn't understand, right? The demons didn't understand. They said if the demons had known, they wouldn't have crucified him, right? They had to get him out of the way so they can go back to oppression, suppression, stealing, killing, and destroying. Because when he came on the scene, he turned the whole Judea on his head, right? He was setting captives free. He was doing many, many things to set the captives free, right? And we know that it even said that he showed himself to over 400 people. Paul said in Corinthians after he died, right? And I mentioned this before in closing. A lot of people will move when the leader died. The movement usually died, so they thought that he died. Once they seen what happened to him, stabbed him aside, plucked his beard out, whipped him with a cat of 9 tails, 39 times, saved one, did it real bad. So they scattered and went into hiding because they made a public demonstration of him, and now they looking for the disciples who was with him, who was rolling with him, and everybody went hiding, scared, like, oh man, that's gonna happen to us, right? And they was human. They didn't understand the thing that the finished work of the Most High Yah. But he said, if I don't die, you don't live. So to have hope, he just didn't arise and disascend. He showed himself many days to his believers to restore the hope. So once they seen him resurrect, they're like, are you going to take over the kingdom now? Because they know that they know that he's going to set up his end time kingdom. And it wasn't time yet. He still was in the dispensation of the Lamb, right? When he returns the second time, he's going to come as the lion and rule, as in the dream with Daniel. Let me get that. Where is that? Do I got that? Where's my other one? Here we go. So that stone, I said, at the end of the age. So this stone this statue represents all of the great empires throughout the time. Babylon, Media, Persia, Greek, Rome, and then the end times is part iron and part clay is where we at right now. And then this is the dream that Daniel Nebuchadnezzar had. And then it said, and then it was a stone, not carved, not made by hands, came down and destroyed that statue. This is all of the different kingdoms, and then his kingdom going to rule for 1,000 years. And it said it became a great exceeding mountain, right? And so they thought that it was time for him to set up his kingdom, the mountain, the rock. He said, no, it's not time yet. Just go tell everybody about me. I'm going to be in one place, and I'm going to send the resurrection power. I'm going to send the Ruach HaKodesh, the resurrection power, so you can know, so you can be able to go out, heal the sick, raise the dead, cast out devil, do these many mighty miracles. You'll be able to do the same thing. So I want you to go be in one place on one accord, and I will make sure you get this power. I'm paraphrasing it, so you can be able to go do the same thing. And we know that's what happened in Acts when the Spirit fell on them and stuff like that. So he is the power. He is the resurrection. He said, no man take my life. I lay it down. I lay it down. You don't take my life. So we just thank the Most High Yah for his finished work, the mystery of resurrection. If you haven't seen the part 1 and part 2 leading up to this, go back and watch part 1 and part 2. And be on the lookout for part 4. We in part 3 of a 4-part series entitled The Mystery of the Resurrection. So Elephant Man Podcast Network, Grown Man Conversations dealing with elephants in the room. I am out. Perfect.